In your headlines, the Ministry of Health and Human Services has denied entry to the cruise ship Carnival Freedom. The judiciary has taken the decision to suspend all jury trials, and the leaders of the opposition speak on a number of issues happening in our islands. From the PTV Broadcasting Headquarters in Providenciales, your number one source for news, I'm Erica Pinales, delivering the latest from across the country this Monday, January 10th, 2022, right to your door. Newswatch starts now. In today's top story, record-breaking numbers for the TCI's COVID-19 dashboard. In a matter of weeks, the country has managed to record alarming digits for COVID cases as government continues to work to get the spread under control. Newswatch has more.
For the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic hit the shores of the TCI, the country over the weekend recorded over 500 active cases, 519 to be exact, with 3 hospitalizations depicted on the January 8th dashboard. The dashboard has since decreased by over 100 cases in just 24 hours, now down to 402. Newswatch learns that the majority of these positives are recorded from visitor testing and have undoubtedly spread further, resulting in some extent of community spread. The Ministry of Health also on Friday recorded the country's 27th death of a middle-aged, fully vaccinated individual who had not yet received the booster shot, however, presented with chronic medical conditions. The individual died at the Cockburn Town Medical Center in Grand Turk. An increase in cases is evident globally as heads of government work to battle the spread of the highly contagious Omicron variant that emerged 2 months ago. While specific testing for the variant has not been carried out for the TCI, the Minister of Health shared last week that he feels that Omicron is likely in country.
And given that we would have had several confirmed infections or positive tests from visitors from countries that would have had COVID-19 or Omicron, I think it's safe enough to say that it's likely here.
Services at a number of government offices have been affected due to temporary closure for deep cleaning, as well as services at Cheshire Hall Medical Center, which officials have informed has been impacted by an in-house outbreak. Contingency staffing has been put in place to supplement the shortage. The Minister of Health last week confirmed the assistance of the Cuban Brigade.
The Cuban Brigade has been with the Turks and Caicos government for some time now, particularly to give assistance with any surges with COVID-19, as well as to cover the hospital with any deficiencies they might have from staff and availability, so we can ensure that our healthcare services, particularly at the secondary healthcare level, continues to function.
With reports of so many private and government entities being affected by the uptick in cases and the rapid fluctuations in numbers on the dashboard, some persons are of the belief that the dashboard may not be depicting accurate numbers. However, it is important to consider that over 80% of the country's adult population is now vaccinated, and recovery guidelines and requirements for the vaccinated have been amended. A vaccinated individual is now considered recovered after 7 days of a positive COVID-19 test, supported by a negative test on day 5.
The Ministry of Health and Human Services has taken the decision to deny entry to the TCI of the cruise ship Carnival Freedom, which was due to arrive in Grand Turk on January 7th, 2022. More details in this report. A press release stated that the Ministry of Health has been monitoring the ship ahead of its arrival, including reviewing relevant documentation, and has taken the decision in the interest of public health to deny free pratique in line with local and regional guidelines. The government said, quote, "The ship will not be permitted to berth or disembark passengers in Grand Turk, Turks and Caicos Islands. It should be noted that the ship was earlier refused entry to other countries," end quote. We've also gathered from cruisehive.com that the Carnival cruise ship was also denied to make a scheduled call to St. Kitts on January 5th due to COVID cases among the crew members. The cancellation was due to positive cases among the crew members as confirmed by the captain over the PA system. Carnival Cruise Line brand ambassador John Heald responded to a guest on the current sailing and confirmed that there was no outbreak on board. With it not being the first time a Carnival cruise ship has been denied a port due to COVID, toward the end of December 2021, authorities in Cranchladitch, Bonaire, decided not to allow passengers to disembark after advice from health officials, resulting in the cruise ship having to set course to sea once again. The Bonaire denial ignited controversy here in the TCI that the ship had docked at the Grand Turk Cruise Center and passengers were allowed to disembark and mingle with the general public. The alleged rumor stirred up controversy on social media to where it forced a reaction from the government clarifying to the contrary. It's time for a quick break. When we return, more News Watch.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to News Watch. During the opening of the legal year last week, members of the judiciary shared some statistics regarding the court's work in 2021. Take a look.
Presenting the statistics for the Magistrate and Supreme Courts was Director of Public Prosecutions, Queen's Counsel Eugene Otonye. Approximately 259 cases passed through the Magistrates Court in 2021. Out of this number, 197 convictions were recorded. This translates to a 76% conviction rate in the Magistrates Court. These offenses included 45 burglaries in the Magistrates and Supreme Court combined, 30 theft offenses, 77 immigration offenses, and 31 drug offenses, again in the Supreme and Magistrates Court combined.
At the Supreme Court level, 90 cases were disposed of. Out of these 90, 51 cases were actually tried or the defendants pleaded guilty. This brings to the total conviction to 44 or 86 conviction rate, 36%. 7 not guilty verdicts were recorded. Offenses include 2 homicide, 10 sexual offenses, 7 forgeries, 31 assaults, and other offenses against the person. 23 firearms and 1 money laundering.
The DPP director expressed some dismay at the lack of cooperation from witnesses and victims.
However, milady, an unsettling feature of these statistics I must highlight. At the Supreme Court alone, despite what appears to be high conviction rate, 39 cases or 43% of the 90 cases dealt with did not make it to trial. The defendants were discharged either because a nolle prosequi was entered or there was not enough evidence to proceed further. Milady, in either case, the dominant reason has been the unavailability of witnesses, including victims, who were no longer available to give evidence for a variety of reasons, ranging from loss of interest and frustration to being fearful for their lives and those of their family members, and of course, loss of confidence and trust in a criminal justice system they think cannot provide simple support and care, let alone protect them against risk of serious reprisals from those against whom they will testify. This is a real threat and a bane to our TCI criminal justice system, Lady, it is to this that the Criminal Justice Stakeholder Group, which you chair, has jointly and collaboratively responded in supporting the establishment of the Victims Witness Program, support program, and a unit in my office.
The director says this initiative is underpinned by the recent enactment of the Vulnerable Witnesses Ordinance and the Sexual Offences Ordinance.
I am optimistic, my lady, that the launching of the Victim and Witness Support Program during the course of this year, among other things, will highlight why and how the interests of victims and witnesses should be put first in our criminal justice delivery. Kickstart the campaign to regain the trust and confidence of victims and witnesses in our criminal justice system. And thirdly, to educate, my lady, and sensitize the public on their civic, moral, and legal obligation not only to report crime, but more importantly, to assist in bringing perpetrators to crime to justice by testifying.
For PTV News Watch, I am Delana Isles.
Leader of the opposition, Honorable Edwin Astwood, in a sit-down with PTV, spoke on a number of issues, including false reports of the arrival of Carnival Freedom last week, noting that while we continue to fight the spread of coronavirus, events like these will likely occur. Take a look.
The Minister of Health and the Minister of Home Affairs addressed the reports of a ship docking with COVID positives aboard. At first mention, officials shared that they had no knowledge of the arrival of such vessel. However, later on, did confirm that while a ship was en route to the TCI from St. Kitts carrying COVID positive cases, it did not dock at the ports. Leader of the People's Democratic Movement, Honorable Edwin Astwood, responded to the report, telling PTV that while events like these are bound to occur as the coronavirus continues to pose a serious threat, it is important to stand on the health and safety protocols established for the protection of lives.
So it was conflicting. First they were saying no, and then he came back and said yes. And normally the vessels are supposed to fly a southern flag when they have persons on board sick anyway. And if persons can remember, at the beginning of the pandemic last year, we had a fight with Carnival when people didn't know about this COVID and how it spread or anything, and they had a sick person on board and they wanted them to catch an air ambulance. And we had a big Mexican standoff all day with Carnival not to take that patient off in Turks and Caicos Islands, and they had an air ambulance waiting, and there was standoff trying to get that patient off without me knowing. So those things happen. You don't know what it is, and you don't want the patients coming off.
Reports were that Carnival Freedom was denied entry to St. Kitts on Wednesday of last week due to a revelation of positive cases aboard the ship. As a result, cruisers spent a day at sea. The ship was scheduled to arrive in Grand Turk on Friday, January 7th. It never did.
We'll be right back when we return your weather forecast. Sister Craft Market Souvenir Shop. Come and visit us for your travel keepsakes, keychains, artwork, t-shirts, clothing, jewelry, and many more. We're located at the Lower Bight gas station in Providenciales, and you can contact us at 649-341-3070. That's 649-341-3070. Sister Craft Market and Souvenir Shop.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Here's the latest in your weather forecast. Here's your weather forecast for January 11th, 2022. For the nation's capital, Grand Turk, on Tuesday, intervals of clouds and sunshine, high 78, low 72, winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. For South Caicos on Tuesday, mostly cloudy skies, high 79, low 72, winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. For North and Middle Caicos on Tuesday, partly cloudy skies, high 78, low 72, winds east-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. For Parrot and Pine Key on Tuesday, sunshine and clouds mixed, high 79, low 72, winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. And on Providenciales on Tuesday, sunshine and clouds mixed, high 79, low 72, winds east-northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Now for your sunrise and sunset. Sunrise 6:30 a.m., sunset 5:25 p.m. And for your high tides and low tides, high tides 2:34 a.m., 2:49 p.m., and low tides 8:58 a.m., 8:54 p.m. And that's it for your weather forecast. We'll be right back with more News Watch.
Here at People's Television, we're more than just your leading news and entertainment services. We are
spreading the gospel.
We are breaking barriers.
We are preserving the culture. Each one, teach one.
We are committed to excellence.
We're creating change.
We are creating memories.
We are the future.
I am PTV.
I am PTV. I am PTV.
I am PTV.
We are PTV.
We are continuing the legacy. We are PTV.
Coming up is the third and final part of an interview we conducted with leaders of the opposition. In part 3, we see that they speak about their views on the current state of the TCI and the increase in crime. With persons talking about the spike in crime, specifically between the latter part of last year coming into the new year, we see persons on social media calling for resignations of those in higher authority and others wondering why investigations yield minimal to no result and why guns and criminals remain on the street, to which Robert Bean Jr. shared his thoughts on.
Being a victim of a crime, I would say it starts at home. I believe we all have a responsibility when it comes to crime. Like everybody says, if you see something, if you heard something, it's better to report it, because that same incident, that same individual that you made a report on could be the same situation to save a family member or your very own life. So as it relates to resignation of people in these high-ranking positions, I would say if they're not able to handle or manage these positions, they should actually resign from those posts. Crime is everybody's business, and we have for years, not months, years, been dealing with the same episode over and over and over again.
Bean expressed that there have proved to have been several unsolved murders in the TCI and speculations on what happens to those cases that remained unresolved.
There are a number of murders that haven't been solved. Me personally, I don't know what happened with those files, those cases, after the first month of it. I don't know if it's just sitting on a desk or waiting to be looked at some later date. But I do think that the government needs, in fact, the PDM administration, I do know, had invested a large sum of money. You can probably mention that figure later on, into the police budget to combat crime. So I don't know if it's an area where we need to have more detectives on island. I don't know if it's an issue where we need to have more persons trained to operate our CCTV's camera systems on the road, because that was I think it was a $2 million plus investment, and it should in some way be able to assist.
Bean said that a possible solution to the occurring crime in the TCI would be for the police force to create new methods and strategies because, quote, they've already studied the method and they think they're smarter than us, end quote.
New strategies need to be put in place. And it was brought to my attention yesterday that the Premier sits on the Security Council with the police department. And if that is the case, he has influence. So I believe the Premier, who sits at one of the highest posts, should actually use that influence and make a recommendation that is in the best interest of the citizens of Turks and Caicos.
He elucidated that the Honorable Premier should use his position as a member of the Security Council with the police force to put an end to the continuing crime.
It's been long overdue. What are we going to do? People are getting too comfortable. We hear about murders happen, and it's like it's normal now. People are numb to it until it hits their home. And anyone can be a victim. So the government really needs to hold the police, hold themselves accountable, and put pressures on persons in those positions to ensure that the crime is combated in Turks and Caicos.
Honorable Edwin Astwood also touched on there being a lack of senior police officers in our sister islands, Grand Turk, Middle Caicos, and Salt Key.
In islands like Grand Turk, there's a lack of senior police there. You know, we have a lot of police there, a few police there, but there are no senior police. Middle and North Caicos need more police, and Salt Key just need a police. We have been crying for this for so many times. Me as the representative for Salt Key have put that on the table so many times, and we cannot get a police in Salt Key. Each community need a police. You know, each community need to feel that presence. You shouldn't be in any community in the Turks and Caicos Island and sit down for half an hour and don't see a police car pass or a police on a bike or on the beat. That shouldn't be happening. And there are technologies, new technologies that we can employ, new measures to put in place.
Bean touched on the collaborative efforts he thinks can be sought out in order to curb this spike in crime.
We have to get into communities. We do not have the contact with communities, and people do not feel comfortable going to the police. A lot of it's a shame that today that people feel that if I go to the police and report the deputy, before I leave the police station, the deputy will know that I've been there. A lot of people feel that way. So we need to get people back, that trust back in the police, get the community being a part of the community, you know, and make sure that it's representative of the community, that the people can trust that officer or the officers who work among us, that we're not seeing a different face every couple of weeks. You know, let that officer be a part. So I know if anybody I can talk to is my officer. Officer, I heard that this is going to go down, you know, and they know that it's safe. Officer, I saw this person. You know, you need to check that out because that officer is a part of the community.
Robert then followed up Astwood's statements regarding crime and then the need for trust in the communities with the police force in order for a collaborative effort to be achieved for change.
It's trust. I believe the entire police force needs to get the trust back into the people in those communities. So in the event, as he said, crimes that happens, people are comfortable and going, making these reports, knowing that they themselves would not become a victim of these crimes. So without trust, you can have all the investments, but if the people aren't coming forward, it's going to be an issue in breaking these cases. And when it comes to this global pandemic, which we are a part of, the government actually needs to work with the private sector as well, the local communities. Everybody has a role to play. If the government chooses to do this by themselves, they're not going to beat or conquer this coronavirus. We all have a role to play, and I think more discussions need to happen. We need to take this virus serious. We have to remember that we are from a small nation, as I said earlier. We all have a role to play, and we must do our part.
Astrid said that there is no need for the current government to rewrite the rule book, as the last administration already had something in place which was effective.
There's no need to reinvent the wheel. You saw what worked last year when the pandemic just came, and you saw what didn't work. You saw what mistakes the previous government made, what mistakes I may have made as Minister of Health, and you saw what things that I did that work. Use that. Use the playbook that we already have for the Turks and Caicos Islands to protect our people, to protect the lives, to protect the livelihoods that they can still survive. We do not want to see a next lockdown. We don't want to see a full lockdown.
Can't afford it.
We cannot afford it, like the David just said. The country cannot afford that. We are trying to come out of this lockdown. We're going into the hurricane season right now. God forbid any hurricanes come. So we need our people to be out there. We need our people to support their families.
Robert Bean brought to light a, quote, promise that was made to the Turks and Caicos by the elected premier on the popular topic of the stimulus package.
I'm going to continue doing it because I am always being asked anytime I'm doing interviews or any kind of questions to remind the government that they are still in debt to the people for a second stimulus. These are hard times on the people of Turks and Caicos. The government has dropped and failed the people of Turks and Caicos when it came to managing this pandemic. Do what is owed to the people of Turks and Caicos and pay that second stimulus check out.
Yes.
People could actually use that check right now.
Yes, and you were elected on that promise.
Yes.
That people would get the $2,000. I think they got $1,000. So get the people the next $1,000, especially now where persons have to take care of children at home. We don't know what is happening in school. You need to get babysitters, extra food. Electricity is going to go up. All the bills are going up. People are struggling now, so they need that help.
Their final word to the general public and their dedicated followers was the following.
I want to let the general public know that we, the People's Democratic Movement, is here. We have been getting our party together. We have been getting our officers in place. As you can see, the deputy leader is here with me now. So you will be seeing more of us. We are here to represent the people. There's no other alternative, no other motive that we are looking at doing. Our elections are probably far away, 2-3 years. So we're not here trying to be political, because some people will forget this interview in the next couple of months anyway. But it is our duty to address issues that are important to our people, the concerns of our people, and that's why we are here.
That brings us to the end of this edition of The Real News. I hate to leave you so soon, but of course, you can join us right back here every weekday at 6:30 p.m. and tap into our social media platforms at www.ptv8tci.com. I'm Erica Penales, keeping you informed, updated, and affiliated. Until next time.